Hi, everybody. Michael here from Night Noon Games, and today I'm going to go over my Shadowdark campaign prep for you. The name of this campaign, or at least what I'm calling it now, is Shadow and Fortitude, and it's the game that I'm running for a group of 5 friends weekly. For my prep, I'm using Mike Shea's Lazy RPG campaign planning template. It's a Notion template that's really great for getting everything you need to know about your own campaign in one place. And there's a link down below this video where you can have a look at it for yourself. The session started off with the 5 characters all being in different places, being woken by church bells ringing. And so they had to rush to the church to see what was going on. And they found out the city of Treefell, where they all are is being attacked by a group of invaders. The group ended up going to one of the entrances where they thought that the invaders would be attacking from, and did battle and succeeded in battling. I think it was six bad guys that were coming in. Unfortunately, because of the place that they chose to go, there were other invaders that were able to ransack other parts of the city. They couldn't prevent it all from being ransacked. As they walked through the city, being led by an NPC named Hiroshidal, they went to the main entrance to discover that the captain, the leader of the village watch, had been killed during the attacks. So Hiroshidal, who was a formerly retired member of the village watch, is taking over for the village. He let the players know, hey, if you go into the city of Myrkos, we need medical supplies and we need food. Go to the city and go visit Kresh, who can help you get those things. So they went to the coastal city of Myrkos on foot. That was relatively uneventful, although I did roll a random encounter where they had a group of gnolls that were chasing after a rhinoceros. The party stripped the rhinoceros and the gnolls came and killed it. They were very thankful for the party having stopped the rhinoceros for their hunt. And although they weren't very friendly, they did award them all with some rations. And of course, in Shadowdark, rations are pretty important since you need them in order to get the effects of a rest. After that, they went into the city and they did some investigating. They looked around for where Kresh could be found, and they eventually did find Kresh in the northern Low District in what is really a criminal safe house. So the story there is that Kresh is leading a group that is importing food, medical supplies, and things like that for the underserved people of the city underneath the nose of the government there. So even though they're acting as good guys, they're actually seen as criminals in the eyes of the law there in the city. So they have to be very careful. Unfortunately, some of Kresh's people had been captured and thrown in prison recently. The players sort of had 2 choices. They could either find a wagon or find some way to transport these goods over to the village of Treefell, or Kresh agreed if they were able to spring his people from the prison, he would have the manpower to transport the goods to the village of Treefell on their own, so the players wouldn't have to deal with it. So that's essentially where we left off on the verge of a prison break. The players did do a little bit of reconnaissance for the prison, but we know that that is going to be our strong start for the day. If you go into the template, and we're going to generate a new section to planning template, and of course label that. So we've got our new session planning template here, and the strong start we know is going to be a prison break, and that's also going to be our first scene. So Mike Shea, aka Sly Flourish, aka the Lazy Dungeon Master, sketches out how to prep for your sessions in his book, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Masters. I really enjoy using that as an outline for my prep, and it's really helpful. It's really helpful to efficiently put your thoughts together and efficiently plan for your sessions. Information about this checklist that he's created is actually available for free. He released it into the Creative Commons, so I'll link to that down below as well, so you can read up on it without having to buy the book, but the book's really great, so I would encourage you to purchase that too. So first up, we're going to review the characters. We have Brimhilda, who's a dwarf fighter, great mustache, has the warhammer named Warjammer. I don't think anything really specific happened with Brimhilda last session. We've got Caesar Bond, who actually now has a... If you watched last session, we rolled up a random piece of treasure that ended up with Caesar Bond. That is a crystal wand that can grant the use of flying for 5 rounds. So that's something that Caesar has that was left by a friend. It had a note on it and was found in his bed. It said, from a friend. So we're going to be able to discover a little bit further on in the campaign who that friend is and why they might be helping Caesar and the party. Darabi is our only spellcaster in the group. And going back to Caesar, one of the reasons Caesar got a wand was because he is a bard who is a magic dabbler. So it adds a little bit more magic into the party because Darabi otherwise is the only other spellcaster. Darabi is a wizard elf and is paying Broomhilde in order for Broomhilde to provide protection for him. Then we have Gordy, who is a halfling thief, and the player here has already been having a blast playing a thief, especially as a halfling. It's the best combination because once a day, a halfling can turn invisible for 3 rounds. And because this invisibility is an ability and not a spell, it actually doesn't go away when this character attacks. So combine that with their backstab ability, and you can really get some big damage going with a halfling who's also a thief. And then we have Vervindenios. Maybe Denny is what what they're going by. A goblin knight of St. Idris. And again, we've only played 1 full session, so we don't know too much about all of these characters quite yet, but we are developing that as we go, which is totally fine. Next up, we have Create a Strong Start, which we already determined is going to be that prison break. It's just going to start with them on the outskirts of the prison, looking in and deciding which way they want to go about going in. They can go through the front door, or there's a collapsed tunnel that goes into the prison as well, that they could try that tact too. But they would have to look around and discover that collapsed area first. So next up is potential scenes. And I think the prison break is going to be one of those scenes. And I'm actually going to create a location for this prison so that we can kind of flesh that out a little bit more. So if I open this up, so here we are, and we're going to locations and then Myrkos prison. I'm going to drop an image of the prison down here in the location. And if you have watched my previous video, of which there should be a link popping up in the corner, you would have seen me develop this prison using rules for Shadowdark. I actually rolled for it, and I used the idea of a 5-room dungeon to develop it. I think it came out pretty fun. I had a really great experience making it, and I think you should check out that video too. Again, there's a link right above. We've got our prison here, and I'm going to sketch it out room by room, which I did previously on the video and is in my notebook, but I'm just going to put in here for ease of use. I've got all of the details of what each of these rooms is going to be in my notebook already, which I'll have during the campaign. So I'm not going to bother putting it all in here right now, just for the sake of time. Because if you watch the video on me making this dungeon, you would have already seen that, and you don't need to see it twice. So I think that we're good here with this location, and I'm going to go back into the session for the day and put the prison in there. And then another scene that I want to happen, or that might happen, is if the players go through the prison, through the secret entrance here, it's actually going to be a stairway that is going to lead into the palace, the minor mansion that Lord Percy lives in. So I had used Dyson Logos to find a sweet map. If you are not familiar with Dyson Logos, this is a guy that just makes a ton of awesome maps. He's done work for Wizards of the Coast and a ton of other publications. And he also has a Patreon where you can pay for him to make maps that you can use. He even has literally hundreds of commercially available maps that you can use just for free as long as you give him proper credit. So that is a great resource. Since this campaign, I don't plan on publishing this anywhere, I can just use any of his maps since it is just for my home campaign. So I'd already searched through this a little bit yesterday and found a map that I thought was cool. It's called the Chris Didath's Estate in Ballroom. So there's also a little backstory around what could be going on in each of these rooms, but I'm just going to use it and reskin it so it's my own thing. I haven't assigned anything to any of these rooms yet, so I might do a little bit of that right now too. I just wanted to take a break interlude in the action here and remind you that if you're liking this video, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me a lot, and it'll help you a lot too if you're interested in seeing more of these videos. And of course, if you have any questions, comments on how I'm doing this, or if you have any ideas for what other elements I could be adding into this adventure for my players, I'd love to hear them. So please leave any of those down in the comment section below the video. All right, now back to the session prep. There we go. That's going to make things easier later. All right, so I think we're all set there. I'm just going to delete these other images and replace them with the ones that I have labeled. So this is going to be another scene, and we'll talk about Lord Percy in a few moments when we're discussing NPCs. So I think we're good here. And we might just have to fill in these rooms as we go based on what's happening with Lord Percy. And I think we can do a lot of that on the fly. So I think that is a great scene. It's going to be an extended scene. It's more like another crawl on top of the crawl that is the prison break. So for the secrets and clues, what we want to be revealed, and we're going to go back to our last session to review what we did reveal and then see what was left over. So we know last session we revealed the ship's landing a year ago was part of a larger plan. This was by the bad guys that arrived on the ship. They found that wand and it was given to them by someone who cares about them. So this actually changed a little bit. Kresh can help with the medicine. They found that out. Cult rituals happen in the basement of the Cloak and Trident. That is a storyline that they might want to pick up at some point, but it's also just sort of a side quest. So they might not need to. And then a Gideon priest from the Modest Temple, which is here in Myrkos, disappeared some time ago. The things that they didn't discover last time are the bandits are working with a large organization. Those are the bandits that attacked the city of Treefell. That the group's leader is based in the market district near the seat of power. There's several tiers of leadership here, and one of the leaders is in the tier of power. I'm going to delete these old ones and we'll keep the new ones because they're still useful and it prevents us from making additional secrets and clues that we might not necessarily need. The bandits are working for a large organization. I think they might be able to figure that out when they're in the prison or the mansion. The group's leader is based in the market district, which is the seat of power. They're going to find that out by going up and into the mansion because I think he might be there. He's either there or he could be in the government building, but I think it makes more sense that he would be in the mansion. Pit fighting happens at the Boar and Shield. This is a secret and clue, but we haven't revealed it yet, and they might be able to find more information there. And then parlays happen at the Frog and Wench, which is a bar, or I should say a tavern, located in the Southern Low District. And I have already sprinkled a little bit of information about the Southern Low District for them. The only way to get to the Southern Low District is an island whenever there's high tide, and there's a strong current that rushes through the shallow water that is between the Low District and the rest of the city. Generally, people only travel during low tide, which means that water might be up to ankle deep or calf deep, and you're able to travel there with carts, but it is a little bit more difficult. Essentially, twice a day, the southern part of the city is cut off from any travel or things like that. The Frog and Wench, because of this, is seen as sort of a neutral ground for all parties and a place where people go for parlay and things like that. Let's add Percy to the NPC list. Lord Percy is the ruler of Myrkos, and he was much beloved until recently, until essentially those invaders came. And the group of invaders, bandits, mercenaries, generally bad guys, kidnapped his family and are now using him like a puppet to control the city, to control the government, and to get what they want. This is the reason for the decline in the last year. And even though people are blaming these foreigners or whatever for having the state of the city go downhill, it actually is their fault because they are controlling it. They are controlling Percy and they are letting crime run rampant, not just from their own gang, but they care less about the other petty crimes that sometimes happen in the city because they want to have the city be in a state of semi-distress to achieve their long-term plans. Now, another especially spicy secret about Lord Percy, and you can find this out by watching my world building videos for the city of Myrkos. There's a link to that just right up above, and you can find a link down below to the entire playlist. But when we rolled up Lord Percy as a random NPC, we found out that they have a secret identity, and we determined that that secret identity is a sort of freedom fighter type character. So we'll see if that ever comes into play. I don't know if I'm going to give them a name or anything. Maybe I should. And the first thing that just comes to mind for whatever reason is Father Myrkos. And again, I'm just riffing this off the top of my head. Maybe Father Myrkos is a part of the city's mythology. All right, so here's what I just came up with on the fly. Father Myrkos is actually the name of the founder of the city of Myrkos. Nobody actually knows if this is a real person or if they were actually named Myrkos, but it's sort of a figure and part of the city's mythology. So if there's a particularly bad harvest or a rainy season or other things, otherwise things aren't going so great, someone might say, well, I guess Father Myrkos isn't very happy with us this year. On the other token, if things are going really well, if the city is being especially prosperous, well, Father Myrkos must be smiling down on us for giving us this good fortune. So Percy, as we know, has a secret identity, and he is out doing small street level crime fighting because why not? That sounds like a ton of fun. And he's adopted this vestige of Father Myrkos for himself. Father Myrkos is not only this legend, but he's now this person, this crime fighter who is working to save the city. And that is because in his official role as the Lord of the city, there's not much he can do. His hands are tied because his family has been taken under control from these bad guys. I really don't think I want to reveal that Percy is Father Myrkos quite yet, because I haven't even teased that Father Myrkos is a character yet. So I think what I need to do is reveal some information about Father Myrkos, and then also make it so that at some point the adventurers might encounter him or hear more about him throughout the city. Father Myrkos, secret identity of Lord Percy. So I think that during this prison break in one of the cells, I have to definitely put, and I'm going to put this in the Myrkos section of wanted signs for a large reward for Father Myrkos. We're going to make this huge. It's a ton of money, right? 1,000 gold pieces for the capture of Father Myrkos, dead or alive. Back to secrets and clues. Father Myrkos is wanted by authorities for disrupting the peace, assault, and so on. If they talk to an official, they might say, oh yeah, that Father Myrkos is a bad guy. But Father Myrkos is also seen by the people as a sort of hero. So if they talk to a merchant or something, they might say, yeah, my place was being robbed and the Father Myrkos just showed up and took care of it for me, which would be super fun. And some of the characters who have spent some time in Myrkos might have heard this rumor too. So I'm going to go around the table at the beginning of the section and ask them, hey, how long have you been in the city for? And just clarify whether or not they've heard about him or not. Other secrets and clues that we could reveal. They're going to find out that he is on a mission to find out what happened to the Judean priest. So this is an adventure hook here that they could find out where the priest went that was replaced by Brig. This Judean priest was beloved and just disappeared. No one knows what happened to them. So that is an item. Another item is that Lord Percy's family has been kidnapped and that he's being used as, so maybe if they meet Lord Percy, he might tell them this, or they might just find clues about it or things like that. I think that is also one of the reasons why he had to become Father Myrkos, because he's also searching for his family. That's part of his overall goal. He doesn't know where they are. I know where they are, but no one else does in the story. And I think that the team is going to have to knock down some doors and find out where the Lord's family is going to be. Another secret is that a girl has gone missing from a nearby island village. This is a bit of an adventure hook for something that I've been writing, and I'd love them to take advantage of it. And for this girl, her name is Ryan Edwardson, and I'm going to create an NPC with her real quick so that I have it handy when I need it. Young girl who's gone missing, and that is a nearby island off the coast with a small village on it. Villagers on Sunhaven are very insular and don't act much with the outside world. I think we have plenty of secrets and clues there to get us going and take up a session and plant some seeds for the players to follow if they'd like. As for fantastic locations, I think this is kind of built in with the scenes. We have the prison break, and then we have Find the Mansion. Other fantastic locations might be the island of Sunhaven, which I do have some locations fleshed out for that. The island and village of Sunhaven. That's not going to be a current location, though. And then we also have, if they choose to investigate, the Great Dragon Turtle. Because I know that Ciernak is interested in the Dragon Turtle, as that is one of the reasons why, as a sailor, he came to town and stayed there. He was drawn to that somehow. So I think we have a few locations set up, which is pretty great there. NPCs, we have Hiroshigal, Milosh Vinos, which was that's the mid-tier boss, who's going to be able to be found in the mansion if they so go there. The leader of the villainous group, who we haven't rolled up or named yet. It hasn't come up yet. Then we have Lord Percy, Father Myrkos, and Ryan Edwardson, if that does come up. As for monsters, I think the way that I've been playing this game, it's been really fast and loose. And I think the only real monsters we're going to have here are bandits and pirates, that kind of thing. They're mostly human monsters now, but I think there might be random encounters in the tunnels of the prison and then also in the mansion. So we might just have to roll those up as we go, which I'm happy to do. And I think is a lot of fun. For treasure, we'll just be using the treasure lists in the Shadowdark core rules because they are really great. And then, of course, we have our session notes to write down there. So I actually think that we're probably going to be good for this week. I think this gives us a lot of adventure. There's going to be a little crawling, which I think is a lot of fun. And my players, I think we're really looking forward to. And we've really laid the groundwork for a really fun day of Shadowdark. If you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to like it and to subscribe to my channel. If you want to stay up to date on what's going on with Night Noon Games, including a few upcoming projects, You can sign up for my mailing list. There's a link to that down below. I'll also send you some free dragon turtle lore, which you might actually see be put into action pretty soon if you keep up with these videos. I'm also on Instagram, and you can find all of my games and things like that over on itch. I also put Mike Shea's information for this Notion template down in the comments below as well. If you have any ideas of how I can make these videos better or more engaging, or if you have any ideas for what I could add to this story to actually present to my players, I'd love to hear about them. Please leave them down in the comments below. Until the next adventure, stay inspired and keep those dice rolling. Thanks for watching.